It's too high, and people are fighting back.
You know, when you get in a car, make sure you get where you're going by driving carefully. If you drink, don't drive. If you drive, don't drink. And here's a small but important item you may be overlooking. Buckle your seatbelt. If everyone in the United States buckled their seatbelts when they drove, we could save over 16,000 lives every year. That's a staggering statistic when you realize it just takes about a second to snap that buckle on your seatbelt. I don't want any audience of mine taking risks on the highway, so take care of yourself and drive with your belt buckled.
You want to feel really good? Belt someone. Belt your neighbor. Belt your teacher. Belt your catcher. Belt your pitcher and your preacher. Belt them right around the waist and get that shoulder strap in place. Go belt someone today.
Seatbelts help keep people safe, so belt someone.
Go belt someone today.
The Respect for Law Camp began in 1978 when the Indiana State Police and the Indiana District Optimists brought to life a dream of many years and of many people. That first year served as a foundation for the educational camp, and Respect for Law Camp has since seen more than 1,000 6th and 7th grade boys and girls pass through its doors. The camp is based on educating young people of their responsibilities toward the laws of their country. Experienced representatives from various criminal justice agencies throughout Indiana shared their experiences and expertise with these impressionable and enthusiastic young men and women. One of the camp directors, Trooper Don Jackson of the Indiana State Police, has been with the camp from the beginning.
If I could emphasize a couple points that are stressed during the weekend on campus, it would be discipline. And the camp is basically education orientated. The camp is open to the first 150 students that applies, and 13 hours of instruction is received by each student during the weekend, and it concludes with a banquet that the parents attend, and each student has a recognition certificate that is presented. For the past 5 years, one of the most interesting and attentive programs that has been presented to the staff and to the students is a presentation by the Indiana Department of Natural Resources.
Snakes, the fascination or fear of every boy and girl. And it's not very often that anyone gets this close to a rattlesnake or copperhead, but these conservation officers put on this show many times and have become as well acquainted with these snakes as anyone might want to be. It's their job, and they're experts at it. There are other experts here at Respect for Law Camp, too. Troopers from the Indiana State Police are known throughout the nation as experts in their field. And they aren't the only troopers who get a chance to show off. Troopers from Kentucky annually make the long drive from their home state to display some of their equipment and to talk about the duties and responsibilities of a Kentucky state policeman. Members of the local emergency medical services are on hand each year to explain just what's in one of those large ambulances. They talk about their job and about some of the latest technical aids used in the rescue of accident victims.
During the last 3 years, we've seen a 100% increase in our enrollment. So this speaks well for the recognition of the camp to the people and to the various clubs. Many sororities and other groups other than the Optimists, the Sortoma clubs, the Lions Club, JCs, and etc., have saw fit to sponsor youth to our camp, and we're very proud of that. Last year, for the first time, we had a student apply and was accepted to attend out of state. We also received a certificate last year from the secondary school administrators of the state of Indiana recognizing the camp as having great educational value. We were very proud of that.
Certainly one of the things that is great about the camp is the fact that we have people there from several different law enforcement agencies, and we have some of the best from those agencies, and each is more than capable of relating to these youngsters what their individual department does. for law enforcement as a whole.
FBI agents attend Respect for Law Camp to discuss the responsibilities and jurisdiction of a federal agent. They talk about the type of work they do and about how they cooperate and work with officers from city, state, and county police departments. This sheriff's deputy might just be one of those officers from a local county sheriff's department. He's representing one of the many local law enforcement representatives that annually help out at the camp. With all the rural and industrial land in Indiana, the chances are high that a youngster sometime may run across some kind of abandoned explosive. For that reason, one of the demonstrations at Respect for Law Camp deals with explosives, anything from fireworks to discarded dynamite and blasting caps. The students are taught what to watch out for and to stay away from any suspicious explosive, especially if it's smoking. And wait, because you never know when it may just go off. While discarded explosives are a serious problem, teenage drug use is an infinitely more serious problem. These 6th and 7th graders are right at an age when many are first exposed to drug use. They need to know and to understand. This narcotics officer knows. He's been there, and he can explain the hazards of drug abuse honestly and objectively.
Take a step further. Marijuana smoking, 2 joints per day for 6 months or more, you begin running the risk of lung cancer. Whoop-de-doo. That's got to be the obvious response, because Dad or Mom, please show me your cigarettes. What's it say on the side? The Surgeon General has determined that smoking cigarettes may be harmful to your health. I didn't want to show you this, Mom and Dad. This is a bag of pot. Nowhere on here has the Surgeon General written anything saying that this might cause harm. So what's the big deal? If you smoke marijuana at the rate of 2 joints per day for 6 months or more, you run the risk of getting lung cancer 10 times quicker than the person that smokes 1 pack of cigarettes a day. In fact, in about 6 months, 3 to 6 months, 2 joints to 5 joints per day, you develop the same precancerous lesions in the lungs that you find with a cigarette smoker who smokes 1 pack of cigarettes per day for 25 or 30 years. That's frightening. To me it is. Now if there was a deterrent, that's got to be it.
After all this learning, every kid wants to have some fun. Recreation time at Respect for Law Camp is not forgotten. A free swim and some swimming and diving instruction is made available to all students. A demonstration is given by members of the State Police Underwater Recovery Team. That is, when they can escape from the grasp of some of the rowdier boys. For the students who have done especially well in their classwork, rides in the State Police helicopter can become the highlight of their stay at the camp. Controlled by one of the skilled pilots of the Indiana State Police Air Section, the helicopter flies over the trees and buildings that make up the college campus. It's a unique ride that many people never experience in a lifetime. All the swimming and flying can make anybody hungry. Meals are held at the Student Union Building, giving the student an opportunity to sample at least a small part of what college life is all about.
Many of the students will be spending a weekend away from Mom and Dad for the first time. I think this is very important at this age. The students, when they're on campus, will be housed in one of the dormitories. There are 4 students per room. They have their own private shower. And as I mentioned earlier, the staffing is co-ed also.
Sunday mornings are traditionally set aside for church-going, and Respect for Law Camp is no different. State Police Chaplain Father Richard Cooley gives a thought-provoking, non-denominational service in the University Chapel. Finally, the weekend of fun and learning is topped off with an awards banquet. Family and friends of the Respect for Law campers are invited to join in the celebration, as each boy and girl is individually recognized. Counselors are also recognized, and most leave with a few words for the campers. A guest speaker livens things up, especially when his speech tells about a telephone call from God.
Hello? Hello, yes? Yes, speaking. Long distance, you say? Yes? Who? Are you sure, operator? Operator, are you positive this you say this calls from heaven? It's not collect, is it?
The banquet concludes with a special ceremony. Outside, as the sun drops lower in the sky and the evening breeze turns calm, the American flag is lowered and folded, bringing to an end a weekend of fun and learning, of fellowship and respect. Many of these students will return next year. Some will come back 3 or 4 more times until they are old enough to attend Career Camp, a week-long camp sponsored by the Indiana State Police and the Indiana Kiwanis Clubs. But for now, they're enjoying what's left of their weekend at Respect for Law Camp.
My wife used to carry our baby in her lap. Well, not anymore. Now we use an infant carrier. You see, we viewed these films of crash tests. At 25 miles an hour, or even slower, a child can be crushed against the dash or windshield, likely to be maimed, perhaps killed. In a car, holding a baby in your lap is an act of kindness that can kill. Use an infant carrier with a seatbelt. It can save your baby's life.
Today, 15 people will be killed or injured by drunk drivers in Indiana alone.
That's why, beginning September 1st, a new law takes effect.
Take a breathalyzer test and fail. You'll spend the night in jail and lose your license for a minimum
of 30 days. Refuse the test and lose your license for a year. Now, in Indiana, if we pull you over, you'd better be sober.
Hey, Walter. He missed the whole ball.
This cat's wasted.
Oh, give me 5, Walter. You missed it again.
Sometimes Walter has a few too many. He doesn't know that a can of beer is about the same as a shot of liquor. We love Walter, so when this happens, we get his keys, and one of us drives him home. Occasionally it takes a little persuading. What's the matter, Walter? You don't like living?
If a friend has too much to drink, drive him home.
5 station. 52 David 5, go ahead.
When you're on patrol at night, and you see something like this, what do you think?
Stop the safe mark, 10-4.
That's right. There's a good chance that driver is DWI, driving while intoxicated. Certain things drivers do, certain cues like weaving, alert you to the possibility of DWI. But of course he could be weaving because he's tired or having trouble with the car. So from your experience, what are the chances he is DWI? 100 out of 100? 50 out of 100? 10 out of 100? It's hard to say, isn't it? But now we can say. Statistically, when you see weaving at night, 60 times out of 100, you're looking at someone DWI, someone with a blood alcohol concentration of at least 0.10. In fact, for the first time, we can see all of the main cues we normally associate with DWI and say with confidence what the chances are the person driving is DWI. And we can do it now because the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration contracted with a company called Anacapa Sciences to find out. They interviewed hundreds of officers. They analyzed over 1,000 arrest reports throughout the U.S. And they came up with 113 different driving behaviors related to DWI. Then, they went out on nighttime patrol and they matched driving behaviors with the blood alcohol concentration of the drivers. And they found out they could reduce that list down to 20 and still account for over 90% of what you see and think of as possible driving while intoxicated. Now you're looking at those 20 cues right now. Look familiar? By the way, just to let you know how confident we are that these are the 20 best cues, they were put on a small card called a DWI detection guide, and they were given to hundreds of officers throughout the U.S. Now after 4,000 stops, regardless of location, roadway, age or sex of the driver, city or country, the card was almost always right. For example, just as we know that 60 times out of 100, weaving in a regular pattern indicates DWI, when you see someone drifting within a lane or across lanes, what are the chances he has a blood alcohol concentration, or BAC, of at least 0.10? The answer is 50. 50 times out of 100, he's DWI. Now, if he was drifting and then compensated abruptly at the last second, in other words, if he was swerving, we now know that chances are 55 times out of 100, he's DWI. How about turning with a wide radius? He starts out wide, cuts the corner close, and ends up wide. Well, he's really worth looking at, because 65 times out of 100, he's drunk. Now here's another one we've all seen before. The tires are remaining consistently on that center line, or they could be consistently on one of the lane markers. Now we've got his number too. He's a 45. 45 times out of 100, he's DWI. Of course, as you well know, if he's straddling the center line or a lane marker, that's much worse, and his number's going to reflect it. He's a 65. In this case, as with the cues you've seen so far, alcohol is probably affecting his steering ability. But alcohol has other effects too, doesn't it? For example, in this film, everyone has their lights off because it's daytime. But when you see a car with the headlights off at night, 30 times out of 100, he's DWI simply because he's concentrating on driving and he isn't really aware of what's going on around him. Now, the same thing would be true if he was signaling in a way that was inconsistent with his driving actions. Though you can't see it very well, he signaled left and he turned right. And we know he's a 40. And if he has a slow response to a traffic signal, that's always made you suspicious in the past. But now we also know he's a 40. Here's one that's a 60, and he isn't doing anything. His face is close to the windshield, his eyes are fixed, wide open, and they look like a pair of fried eggs. He just appears to you to be drunk, and 60 times out of 100, he is. Now, if he takes off and accelerates or decelerates faster than he has to for the traffic conditions, or if he alternates speeding up and slowing down, you've got a 30. As you well know, when you're dealing with DWI, seeing more than one cue happens all the time. But what we now know statistically is that if you add 10 points to the cue with the highest number, that's what the chances are that this driver is DWI. He appeared drunk, and that's a 60. The other cue was only a 30. We add 10 to 60, and we now know this driver will be DWI 70 times out of 100, which is just a scientific way of saying what you already know. When you see more than one cue, it means more. By the way, what does it mean when someone is braking erratically, or in this case, riding the brakes? First of all, it means that 45 times out of 100, he has a BAC of at least 0.10. But just as with speeding up and slowing down, alcohol has impaired his ability to control the speed of the car. Now, here's another example of that. By the time he came to a stop, he had stopped inappropriately. In other words, on top of the crosswalk. And we now know that's a 35. Another example of stopping inappropriately is this one. He stops for a green light. Obviously, what's happened here is that alcohol has impaired his ability to process information. The same thing can cause stopping without cause in a traffic lane. As you know, we don't see this very often. But when you do, 50 times out of 100, he's drunk. And 50 times out of 100, if he's dawdling or poking along slower than 10 miles an hour below the limit, he's drunk too. What about following too closely? You already know it's a good indicator of DWI. But how good is it? Now remember, as with all of these cues, we're only talking about nighttime patrol. If you guessed 50-50, you were right. Okay? How about turning abruptly or illegally, like turning sharply from the wrong lane? Statistically, it's a good indicator, but it's not at the top. It's a 35. Driving into opposing traffic, like going the wrong way on a one-way street, or driving into crossing traffic, is a little higher. He's a 45. And this guy's a 55. Whether he's going straight through turn-only lanes or driving on the shoulder, anytime he's driving on other than the designated roadway, 55 times out of 100, he's had a little too much. Now, if he almost strikes an object or a vehicle, he's a 60. And since he's piling up multiple cues, he's really a 70, isn't he? Now, maybe you know all that. Maybe you're really good at guessing the chances a driver is drunk or sober just by what you saw him do. But now, you don't even have to guess.
Your eyesight's now distorted, like looking through grease glasses. Your side vision's cut down by as much as 80%. Your reaction time is all off, as if you had weights on your feet. How would you like to try driving your car like this some night? A lot of people do. This is the way it is. After you've had a few drinks, then try to drive. Shouldn't you think twice before trying to drive after drinking? You bet your sweet life you should.
I, along with many others, have joined with the Indiana State Police in establishing a team for our young people to follow. This is a team made up of heroes for our kids. And there's only one requirement to join this team, and it's that you don't use or abuse drugs. Come, please, join our team and set an example for young people all over the state to follow.
This man is a state police trooper who's part of a special squad called the Emergency Rescue Team. We were able to photograph the ERT in 2 different training sessions. The first is an attempt to arrest 2 dangerous felons, armed and holed up in a house.
Okay, it's clear.
Okay.
Good, looks good. Come on.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm coming through this.
Yeah, I'm gonna go up. You're over the door.
Okay, bring another one in. We're clear here.
Clear?
Yeah.
Got an open door over here. Freeze! Got one here in the corner. I think I got one over here. Come on out. Stand up with your hands up.
On your head.
Keep them up high.
Walking on that back. Down on your face. Down on your face.
Clear. Hold still. Okay, you in the corner behind the brown chair. Come on out slowly. Stand up. Put your hand on your head. Come on out slowly. Don't see what you're doing. Walk slow.
Keep moving. Keep behind your head.
Down on your knees. Down on your knees. Okay, flat on the floor.
The basic rule the ERT follows is to be patient. Time, they feel, is on their side. Tomorrow we'll watch them in a hostage situation where a negotiator is called in. One of the most sensitive criminal encounters is the hostage situation. In the following training session, the State Police Emergency Rescue Team, in coordination with a negotiator, attempt to rescue a hostage, and this is how they react.
Police!
State Police. Come on out. Tim Jackson's got a warrant for your arrest. Come on out.
Hey, we want to talk.
Who want to talk about?
Hostage and I'll kill him. I want to play here in an hour and $10,000.
Okay, back call. Chip, tell Jim we got a hostage.
Gonna kill me.
Right there, right there. You got a knife across the throat.
Gonna kill me.
Be cool now, be cool, we'll kill you. We got the boss coming.
Back off or he's dead.
Back off. Listen, don't be foolish. You die too. Don't be foolish, you don't want to die.
I want to play here in an hour, $10,000, just like I said.
What situation? Okay, we went to serve the warrant on the guy. Okay, we got up to the house. When we got into the house, we got there. He's got a hostage in there.
How many hostages does he have?
He's got one right now that we know of.
Male or female, do you know?
They're both males in there. The guy that we went after is a Timmy Jackson. He's originally from this area, but he's wanted on a murder warrant out of Los Angeles. He's done time at Pendleton. He's been around a little bit. So everything I hear, he's a bad actor. He claims he'll kill the guy. He says he's got nothing to lose because he wanted on a murder warrant out of L.A. JD, we got the negotiator now.
Okay, Bill, first I want you to know who I am. I'm Bill Smith. I'm a negotiator with the state police. I'm here to see what I can do to resolve this situation. What's your problem?
As long as I get a plane and $10,000 in an hour, we'll do business.
That's okay. We'll get it for you. Just don't hurt anybody.
Dead man.
Just kind of calm down a little bit. There's no need to be upset.
I'll have to relax.
Well, what are you going to do?
Well, I'm going to let him know that we're working on what he wants, and we can get what he wants. It's just going to have to take time. First of all, we're going to let him relax a little bit and let him calm down. He's upset at the present time.
Okay, the only thing I can say to you is, you can let me know, but, he's right there in the doorway. If you want the sniper to take him out, I can take him, but it's your ballgame. You're negotiating now.
At the present time, I don't want that to happen because I think I can build a rapport up with the guy. I don't think he's
close to me. Have him pull him back or he's dead.
You take the gun away from him and I'll have him pull the troops back. You put the gun down. Tim, we got to work something out together. If you do something for me, I'll do something for you. Otherwise, we're just going to have to wait till they get the plane.
I'll put it down.
Hey, Jim, he put down the gun. He took it away from the guy. So the troops that are sitting out there where he can see, I want you to move him back. Get him back while I talk to him.
Okay. JD, move your troops back. Leave Joe there by the door.
Tim, I just received a message from the authorities in Los Angeles that they're having some problems out there and they're not sure exactly what's going on, and I think you're wasting yourself if you keep doing what you're doing. Why don't you come out and let's talk about it? I think we can resolve this thing.
Okay, we'll talk about it. Get up.
Leave the gun there.
I surrender.
Put your hands where we can see him.
I'm just gonna get
Send the hostage out first.
Walk.
You stay back until he gets out and clear. Keep your hands up where they can be seen.
The negotiator in this instance was able to defuse the situation by talking to the captor, but his presence doesn't diminish the power of the emergency rescue team. They're the ones with final power in this situation, and they hope with the negotiator's assistance, no one will be hurt.
I'm Foster Brooks, and this is a taxi cab. Or am I a taxi cab, and is this a Foster Brooks? Well, anyway, all I know is when I have a little too much to drink, I take one of these home, which is pretty sensible, intelligent thinking for a taxi cab. Or am I Foster Brooks?